Well, Jason, my love, it's time. Suicide Squad. Okie doke. I can tell by the end of this video I'm going to lose quite a few viewers, and most likely I will get hate mail. But I assume you clicked on this link to know my thoughts about this film. And by the way, no spoilers, because I don't believe in being an asshole, at least consciously. And, well, look, spoilers, it's just not cool to give spoilers, man. It's just not cool. So, without further ado, David Ayer's Suicide Squad. First things first, I have not read a single Suicide Squad comic. I am familiar with the characters who have come and gone in this infamous task force, but I haven't necessarily picked up a comic book and read it. So, there's that. Okay, but additionally, even though I'm not hugely into any sort of comic book fandom, be it DC, Marvel, Top Cow, what have you, I have a pretty good cursory knowledge, and I know about the Joker, I know about Harley Quinn. I basically have a pretty good idea about who the principal characters are. So in saying that, first things first, when I saw the trailers of Suicide Squad, I was sold. And even though it is completely my own fault that I fell for a trailer, you can't deny they had some really excellent moments in them. And you know, you had Queen and, you know, Ballroom Blitz playing. I mean, it's just so seductive, and it gets you in a state of mind when you're thinking, you know what, I am really going to enjoy this movie. And I don't go into any film expecting to hate it. I like to be optimistic. I'm an optimistic, lovely, bubbly person. But when I sat down to Suicide Squad, I was fully expecting this to be my groove. I dig the characters. The concept's amazing. Like, you have this squad that's, you know, comprised of bad guys, and, you know, you're expecting to see this sense of edginess and malicious fun on the screen. So here I was sitting down, fully expecting this to be a great DC film. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't think this was a horrible movie, and quite frankly, I found it far more exciting than Batman vs Superman. Oh, wait, there's one viewer going, okay, I told you this would happen. But in saying that, even though Suicide Squad does have its moments, it's precisely that. Suicide Squad is a film that is made up of really great moments, but no cohesive story. And whatever story there is, it's very pedestrian. Some people have been saying that DC aren't afraid to take risks and, you know, walk the plank and, you know, take chances with their narratives. And that's what I was hopefully expecting to see. But this film is very by the numbers. It's very PG-13. And look, I don't have anything against the PG-13 rating. I just want to get that out of the way right now. I don't. But when you're making a film about bad guys saving the world, like bad guys with some serious psychological issues, you're expecting to see some sort of twist and edge to the characters, but unfortunately you didn't really get that. I found most of the characters of Suicide Squad to be actually rather nice, and, you know, whatever, you know, bad deeds they've done in their past, it comes across as more as being victims of circumstance as opposed to making a choice to do what they do. And at the end of the film, you know, you don't feel that sense of ambiguity about it. Like, you don't get the sensation that even though these people have done what is essentially a good deed for the greater good, it hasn't necessarily, you know, changed their minds. But okay, so let me get this out of the way right now. The principal characters I liked, or at least, you know, felt had more meat to them, was Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. She was my favourite. I adore Amanda Waller. I think she's one of the greatest villains that DC have ever created. She's just amazing. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a huge Harley Quinn fan, but when she was announced to play Harley, I was like, yes. After her work on Wolf of Wall Street, and look, the woman is gorgeous. I could see her as Harley, no doubt. And also, I appreciated Will Smith. Now, the man has detractors, but to me, the man also has enormous charisma. He's just made quite a few bad choices when it comes to films in the past. But he has that integrity about him that, even, he doesn't have the personality of a wet blanket. Okay, he's a bit of a fireball, no pun intended. So with these pretty good actors and interesting realizations of the characters, I was really wanting to see more about their heart. But the thing is, when you're making a superhero film, you can either do a pretty in-depth and really compelling origin story, or you can just put the characters as they are into the story and just let them go. You can't exactly do both. And David Ayer, bless his heart, I think he is a competent director, but I don't necessarily feel he really had a handle on the story he was trying to tell. He was putting all these cool moments in the film, which, by the way, a lot of the moments in the trailer that you see are not in the movie. Now, people are going to say, well, wait for the director's cut. Well, that's all well and good, but how many times is DC going to fall back on this option? When an audience goes to see a film, like one they're fully anticipating, they want to feel rewarded. They want to make sure that their money goes to a good place. They want to get their money's worth, is basically what I'm trying to say. But if you rob them of the opportunity to sit down and watch this film and just enjoy all these moments they've seen in the trailer, you're robbing them. And there's only so many arguments you're going to win by saying, just wait for the DC cut. It doesn't necessarily work like that. I don't like being cheated of my viewing experience, and I assume you don't either. Now, when it comes to the rest of the characters, I'm just going to give a special mention to Jai Courtney. I loved Captain Boomerang. And the thing is, he's not the most well-rounded character whatsoever, and really, it's kind of wasted, but Courtney does a good job with this guy. He is the ultimate bogan / dickhead. And that's the thing about Jai Courtney, nobody really knows how to use him, but, he was actually playing to his strengths in this movie, and I have a feeling that a lot of his detractors will be very, very surprised, if they allow themselves to enjoy his performance. But also, yeah, with the exception of Robbie, Smith, and Davis, no character really gets a good look into. Not even Cara Delevingne as Enchantress. I was actually enamored with Enchantress, but once again, she suffered from a severe lack of story service. It wasn't Delevingne's fault. She did, as much as she could with a very flimsy role, but ultimately, none of the other members of the Suicide Squad were the ones I was sort of looking out for. When a character is placed into jeopardy, I want to feel care for them. But I didn't feel that. And the actress who plays Katana, Karen, I'm not going to try because I know I'm going to butcher that name. I was hoping to see more out of her. Like, yeah, she had a great look and she had an interesting power with her sword and everything. But once again, this film does not explore the heart and the soul of the characters. And yeah, sure, they're bad guys, but what makes them bad? This goes back to the notion of having a half-baked origin story. Case in point, Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie is great, as I've said again, but here's the thing. Harley's, turn to evil comes from the Joker. He is the one who basically irreparably harmed her, but in this movie there is a hint that she still has a moral compass. But it's frustrating because we don't see an entire journey of Harley's character, and I hope that Harley does get her own story, like later on down the track, her own movie, which would be great. But if you're making a film with the Suicide Squad, stick to the Suicide Squad, okay? They're here for a reason. We came to watch this to watch this movie about bad guys kicking butt for the greater good. And suspiciously enough, there wasn't a lot of action, moments. Well, I'm sorry, there wasn't, an explosive, scene after scene of action. There were, a couple of shootouts and everything, but with these bad guys, they are basically the wild cards, okay? Amanda Waller, sends them into this, forbidden zone in order to, kick butt and take names. And they're completely expendable. So, everyone should have gone all out with this movie when it comes to the action sequences. In fact, the best moment in Suicide Squad is not an action sequence. It is a purely character-driven, scene, and it basically involves the squad in a bar, drinking and reflecting and sort of getting to know each other. That was cool, but, you know, it's kind of inconsistent with the rest of the movie. And, look, like I said before, I have not, you know, read a single Suicide Squad comic, so I don't know the inward dynamic between them, but that's just the thing. As somebody who's not necessarily a huge fan of the comic book, I still want to, you know, sit down and watch the movie and understand where these characters are coming from. I don't fancy seeing a film being, you know, hopshod, you know, put together just to show you the cool moments when ultimately it doesn't show you much of anything at all. So it's... This film, while not exactly an extreme failure that so many people are talking about, and by the way, don't get me started on the Rotten Tomatoes controversy, that's really silly, guys, okay? We're responsible, clear-minded adults. We should not be resorting to, you know, put a boycott on a bloody, you know, internet review site. That's silly. But it's just... It is just so disappointing to see a film that has so much promise just, you know, fall really short of the mark. And I'm not necessarily sure about who's to blame here. Maybe it's no one. Maybe it's everyone. Well, maybe, yes, it is everyone. Because, you know, Air, the writers, the studio, they all made a conscious decision or a conscious effort to give us the movie that we have now. Oh, and, yes, the great big elephant in the room, the Joker, played by Jared Leto. I don't know about you, but when I saw Jared Leto's physical appearance last year from Comic-Con's stills, I was thrilled. He was a very interesting guy, like, you know, visually speaking. And, you know, I remember hearing some people argue, you know, oh, why does he have grills in his teeth? Well, here's the thing. If you've been acquainted with Batman's fists quite a few times, you're not going to have exemplary dental work. I'm just saying right now. But, yes, going back to Leto's Joker. And this, you know, corresponds directly back to Harley's, you know, lack of, you know, character development. He was the cause célèbre of the agent provocateur of Harley's descent into madness. And you'd think that you would see more of this, but Leto has a very, very small part in this movie. He's, in fact, a glorified cameo. And there was no moment in this film that was like a Joker moment. You know what I'm talking about. Like, in Tim Burton's Batman, you had basically all of Jack Nicholson's scenes. Like, he always does something that hooked into your brain, and that's what sort of endeared the character to you. With Heath Ledger's Joker, you had Batman's interrogation as well as a magic trick. Those are very memorable scenes, and that is what really cemented the Joker into the public consciousness. For all of his sort of gangbanger demonic appearance, like, you know, Joker is kind of a non-issue. He's not given the opportunity to sort of spread his wings and show himself to be what made the character of Harley Quinn kick herself off. You know, it's just so frustrating because there's just so much potential in this movie, story-wise, with the characters, and, you know, it just seems to fall back on, like, really sort of choppy editing and, you know, admittedly some really cool moments, and the music. Air seemed to think that the music could have done the job for him in terms of making the movie and giving it its sense of atmosphere. And music, as we know, can be a great addition. It can be a character in of itself. But if you abuse it, either, you know, underuse it or, you know, overuse it, that's when it becomes the enemy of the film. And unfortunately, that is what happens in Suicide Squad. You know, it tends to fall back on a sense of superficiality as opposed to sort of giving us, like, really deep insight about these characters. I came to watch a film about bad guys just, you know, as they are, just doing this stuff. And, you know, I want it to be ambiguous, I want it to be thrilling, I want it to be a really interesting idea about these characters' psychology and how they respond to what's going on. But instead, I just got a very sort of flashy, extended video clip, now that I think about it. It's just a really unfortunately put together jigsaw of a film, and I hope the director's cut on Blu-ray or DVD explains it, but once again, there's only so much you can fall back on when it comes to delivering the full experience. So I give Suicide Squad I'm gonna be generous, like a 3 out of 5. Like, I feel if I watched it again, I might see some sort of thing I like, but in all actuality, what a letdown, guys, and I don't like saying that, I really don't. So I do apologise for pissing you off, but that's it. Bye.